We are live. Welcome to another episode of Reels and Riddims. And
Bop,
we
bop,
are still talking. All right, do your sound effects. Bop, 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 come.
bop, 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 bop.
And we are still talking about the Champion series because it is a Champion series on Netflix streaming now. Um, the last couple episodes, we've covered episode 1 through 3, and we
Mhm.
are getting into episode 4. Michaela, what did happen in that episode 4? I feel like episode 4 was a significant episode, but I don't remember too much about it more than the end. So why don't you, before me do that, right? Let me remind everyone you're watching Reels and Rhythms, brought to you by Carry On Friends in partnership with Style and Vibes and Breadfruit Media. And I'm Carrie Ann, and she is.
Michaela.
All right, all right. And we are your TV, movie, documentary watching, loving Jamaican girls who are just like a talk the thing, like what we see on TV. Think of us as the people who are chat out the show and you're getting our reaction to what we're watching on TV. All right. So now we can jump to what was episode 4 about.
Yeah, so episode 4, as you say, it kind of did a bill in the first couple episodes, and here's where we kind of start to see Vida and Bosco as separate people living their own lives and kind of progressing. I think Vida's progressing and Bosco is spiraling. He starts his tour, and we start to see the true impact, and he doesn't have Vida to lean on, as we see his almost like PTSD from being in prison kind of heighten as he's on tour. The more shows he does, there is a particular stop in Birmingham where he is able to link up with one of his brethren from prison, and they're able to kind of connect. Vida goes into this like creative space. We see her with Lamont a lot more creatively.
Laurent, popcorn cousin.
Yes, Laurent, thank you. We see Vida and Laurent kind of getting a little bit closer, and
Me think Laurent too convenient. In just
well,
tada.
yeah,
Like
him always did it.
tada.
Him always, yes. We can't. I don't know who I can't stand more, him or Memet. At least Memet have a little history, and
No man,
he
me like
cares,
Mehmet. Me like
but
Mehmet. Why you not like Mehmet? Come tell me why.
I just feel I think he too conveniently prioritized Bosco. Like he just like me not like how him just dash with Vita, just so. Like me not know. Me never really like that. So I'm glad say as the series progressed, it progressed the way it do. It did.
No, I mean like what he did was that like debt before dishonor. Yeah, absolutely. But him did check for her. I like the two of them they did afraid. And yeah, would I feel some type of way if yeah wait upon him for tell Bosco. But in my head me I say why me I wait for him for tell Bosco and my brother too, so why we can't tell him together type thing. But Laurent's personality and his energy is just not what I look for in a partner. Right? Him just too eeks up. Him just did it. Him like shadow. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
everywhere. I'm like, no, you know. Um, but we'll uncover why later on. So continue to tell your story, your retelling.
Yeah, and then I think by the end, it's where Bosco gets into he's again spiraling. So he gets into an accident with Mehmet's car, and at the end, you're not sure like what happens, but he ends up being okay, and that kind of progresses into episode 5.
No, all right. We have to unpack some things in our episode
Oh
4.
yeah,
So
that's why I stop right there, so we can unpack the things.
yeah. So Bosco friend them from prison, right? You see the hard thing about doing a review show, especially when you binge watch all of them, you are giving your assessment not only based on the current episode but the other episode them where you see.
Mhm.
And so when we first see the bridging them from prison who used to be in prison, you start say, Lord Jesus, how what is now? Right? But I like when he went there and he was reacting to Bulla, and they was like, yo man, calm, like chill, like relax. It's not that serious, bruv. You know,
But
like
even before then, right? I agree with you. I think that the show doesn't take stereotypical progressions that we expect. So when we immediately saw his group of friends, we immediately like, oh no, something bad is going to happen because this is how it usually goes down. And when he essentially leaves the show because he has so much anxiety, and he said it, right? Like the space just feels like I feel so enclosed like I was in a prison cell. And he said it twice. He tried to connect with Honey, I think her name. No, what did he get? Is it Honey? Vita best friend with the pantour with him.
Oni, I think Oni
Honey.
she name.
Yeah. So he tried to connect with her. He ended up trying to kiss her, mixed emotions. But she wasn't, she's really just there to progress her career. Mehmet is kind of there
He's
to
a
carry the
protector.
weight and protect him, but from afar. So therefore, like he's almost like like someone overseeing him and making sure like he's at sound check, he's in the building. So he's his DJ and kind of, but he's not necessarily reading his anxiety levels, right? Where that
He
would be,
is, but I feel Mehmet is, but Mehmet still carry feelings to the way Bosco did deal with him in the studio episodes before. Like Bosco essentially pushed him away. And
yeah,
so in I'm feelings, but he's still caring of him friend because um Mehmet is the one that still a report to Don say, yo, him not all right. Like,
yes,
yo,
yes,
he's not all right. So he's keeping his distance emotionally from him as a friend, but he's not keeping his distance in terms of protecting what he thinks is his well-being.
yes, that is very true. And so when he leaves and he goes into um it's basically this high rise
It's an
apartment
apartment
building.
building.
Yeah, that, and he goes with his friends, typical of what we see in like, the hood part, like buildings in the hood, like that's what it looks like. And it's a small apartment and he just needs to escape. He goes onto the balcony and his friend comes out. It's only the one friend that he went to prison with. So it sounded like it was his cellmate. And he was just like, if anybody understands, I do, because they were essentially in the same space. And then he proceeds to show him how he put it into his music. And I think the interesting part is Vida said the same thing, like put it in your music, like so that, but because Vida has this outside view of his prison sentence, whereas his friend has this raw emotion that he exudes while rapping. It's a very different place. So it makes him feel a little bit more comfortable when he eventually does kind of break out of his shell and he's able to kind of like what he did with the freestyle at Bulla's show. And I really enjoyed that progression. And I'm really glad that they didn't take the stereotypical, oh, he about to get into trouble, yada yada yada. Because I too was just like, oh no, no, I don't know what's gonna happen here.
To your point on that too, it was just like the bread, you know, you relate to somebody who got through the same experience as you, and the brethren clearly got through a serious experience because him aware ankle monitor, right? Um, but was able to recognize, and even when in a couple episodes back when he interacted with Mehmet, I think him would have even want to fight Mehmet, but him just realized that yo Mehmet I try to protect you, right? So him not mean bad face that type of way, right? Cause he walk up to Mehmet and smile and like touch him on the chest
Yeah.
and just move, right? So I think that like I said, that threw us off. We all know me to expect something bad to come from that whole alignment with the former prison friends. But again, breaking those tropes are like what I really like about the series. And so it's in visiting. We're not going to talk about this in a linear way, right? We go back to Vita and Laurent. So Vita end up seeing Laurent because Femi, who is Teo's partner, was outside a building, and she said, "Come through and check out this set." And who in a the set? Laurent. And so them start have a little thing. And me I say, yo, you're coming like sharp, just pop up everywhere. Like, we
So
don't know.
he had a whole setup there, like, but
To the
it
point where I'm like, you feel me in a things, you feel me in a
yeah,
bandoodle
yes,
things. Cause
yes.
I'm like, yo, how
But
come you in a so?
even later. So I think in the next episode. So at this point in time, remember Vida is progressing creatively. However, she's not sure of Mark as a manager, and so she's asking for advice from Laurent. She even this is where her and her mom reconnect, and the dad was trying to influence the mom to say, she needs to be managed by Dawn because we know Dawn. Um, and we don't want Dawn. So she's like, what you expect me to do? Like, so again, even in that connection where she reconnects with Vida, she could have easily just tried to persuade her to try and go with Dawn, but she didn't. And she said, just settle yourself, like sit down and make the best decision for yourself.
I don't know. In that me don't know how to read Aria. Is like me don't know if she because I mean, Vita was like, somebody are dead, you give me my cook food, you give me my best. Like, what is going
She's
in here?
acting like a mom. Like if you got in trouble and y'all try nice up back to your mother, like what to what you do? Somebody dead? I love that interaction. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
Like, what is this?
Couldn't read her either. And I think I was starting to maybe see a little bit of glimpse of her, but because again, like you said, because I know what happens later, it just feels odd to me now because it's like we'll talk about it a little bit more, but in this particular episode, it looks like she's kind of looking out for Vida's best interest, and it's her seeing Vida as an independent person, independent of her family, independent of Bosco, independent of her dad. It feels like and I'm sure to Vida, it feels like her mom is seeing her for the first time.
It is also in this episode where if we did have any doubts in episode 1, 2, or 3, we are for surety in episode 4 that Don and Beres in cahoots.
Yeah.
And Beres is just hard driving. My good gosh, man. And I think was it this episode where Don say, "Yo, Beres, I went into the account and I saw a couple of withdrawals. Easy now." And Beres said, "Oh, so you come for pocket watch." I was just
Well, the man is outside painting
like,
a mural to himself. And so I would ask questions too. It also begs to question how much does the mom know about Dawn and the inner workings of Barris's
she don't
conniving.
know. She don't know. She don't know. I don't think.
Me just I put it out there. Me just I put it out.
She don't know. She don't go. She trusts Beres for everything. We have to go to the boss. We have to go to the boss. So she trusts Beres for handle everything while
Yeah.
she run the restaurants. And so she just thinks that okay, Beres have it. But this is where we clearly see that Beres is hard
Using.
driving and Dawn, right? So this is what I also like about the series, right? It gives you the complexity of humans, right? Because in the first couple episodes, even in a part of 4, I like Dawn. But when Dawn was like, yo, Beres, Mehmet called me and said Bosco is not alright. Oh, him aga alright, Beres just dismiss it. Like, oh, him never alright it. Blah blah that type of thing.
Mhm,
Whereas Dawn is really seeing that there's something happening
mhm,
and she had tried Berry C. So like in one way, you cannot like somebody for what you think they represent or how they are being unfair to a person, but you can see that no, they're a human. They're just complex. They have all of these different
mhm,
behaviors. Where you're like, me think me never like you, but me kind of like see you stand up for him a little bit.
mhm,
So that's the other thing I love about the series, where it's just really not doing a broad brush, but really showing the different dimensions within one person, which we all have, right? You
Yep.
may not like somebody for another thing, for this thing, but them show a different side. And
Yeah.
that's what we kind of see with Don. But for
Mhm.
sure, Barris and Don in a cahoots, them a thief some money, them definitely is bandolering. And basically in a modern day age, them a scammer. And I think for us the hardest story is to see a parent take advantage of their child's talent and their money for their benefit.
And Barris also sees, so it's clear that Barris sees and understands that Bosco is in a situation, but he wants to get the most productivity out of him that he can before he latches his hooks into Vida.
Him a plan for Vita, you see? Him a plan for Vita.
But Vida naively kind of dismisses him. She's just like, well, why would Don manage me? I don't have no kind of relation with Don. She didn't want to take Don position. So remember that.
And I
She
mean,
not Meg. Don wasn't even in the running to be
not
her manager.
not only that, the level of conniving that Barris do,
Mhm.
because Ima lay the groundwork, and this is where we see that Barris share Aria video to with Vita. And so this is how Aria know that her mother sings and had an album. This is after she and her mother sat down and had a conversation. So Barry sure this, and she was like, how come I never know this? So again, I thought that was shocking. None of the kids didn't know that the mom had this song. And it's unclear if the song wasn't released, the video wasn't released, or when they about for release it, she found out she must have did pregnant or something. So, the level of secrets also was,
Mhm.
even for this, for the music, because if I would expect again, but this is where the show doesn't, follow, the stereotype. I thought that, as a mom who performed or sing, you can say, yeah, I mean, the kids them gets it from, but she never alluded to any of that. So the kids are clueless that the mom actually had a career or about to have a career. It was unclear by the time we get to this episode. So, and then by the end of this episode, um, Bosco with him friends, the CMM one from prison and the one from prison say, yo, Bosco, I have one piece of information for you. And like, yeah? I say, yeah. Miss, what kind of information this? So Bosco is late for his show. In come in hype with him, come bolo them from prison. Clearly, I am going back into my grandmother word bag with
Late as in
Kumbolo.
2 hours late, the crowd is chanting, waiting for him, and he find poor Mehmet up there. I try see if the look ashore, and
And
he
honey.
and honey, yeah, yeah. And he just comes on stage, and Mehmet just like, what is going on here? They came on stage like Wu Tang Clan.
That's exactly what it is. They bombarded that stage.
Yeah,
They bum
yeah,
rushed the stage, and
yeah.
they, bottle in hand, and they, champions to the world, winners. Oh, I'm like, all right, I saw what they do it.
In a Bram, not Birmingham, but Bram.
And Bulla is in the audience, and is Mark in the audience too? I kind of feel like he
I think
is.
he is. I can't recall, but I think he is.
He's in the audience, and towards the end of the performance, there was like, yo, Bosco basically reveal what his prison friends say, yo, information they find out. And they project on the screen, and it is Bulla in what looks like some kind of uniform, unclear if a army uniform, and the crowd start react, and Bulla gets upset, left and beat up somebody within an inch of their life. And then Mehmet was just like, later for this. or about to exit the building, and then him conscience say, no, you can't leave Bosco in there, which is why me go
But him and
always.
Bosco got into a fight.
But this is why I always say, you know what? Yeah. And it goes back to what we said in previous episode. Mehmet is his friend first
Yeah,
and Vita boyfriend second. That is the
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
And when you're involved with when you're involved with two people who are family, that's a difficult position to be in.
yeah.
Especially
But
when the other
as the kids say, you gotta stand on business. He wasn't standing on business until he was forced to.
when you're in other position, then me not say in shoulda coulda woulda. Me no want in other position there. You can stand on that business when you're in other position there and see what go happen. Who me?
But
No.
if you're bold enough to hide and be with your best friend's sister, at some point, and even Vita is kind of like, I he should have told him. So the fact that he didn't tell him and then just dismissed her because of without even hearing her side, like that to me. I mean, I like him more than Laurent, but yeah,
Popcorn
popcorn.
2.0. Yeah. And so he goes back in to get Bosco, and him a met Bosco have his own way. Bosco go in a car, start drive, me met run him down, happy na the passenger side. And we are this was kind of straightforward. We know said this was going to happen.
Yeah,
They met into a car accident, right? So this is the end of episode 4, going into episode 5. Everybody phone are ring off, ring off, ring off. Basically, it's them in a accident, and Don went to go pick them up, and Don, of course, rightfully so, cause them are two minorities, cause it's unclear, but Mehmet might be Turkish or something like that. I'm not sure. But he's like, yo, on the highway, but she never call it highway, she call it something else. And she would lecture them. And Don brings them home, but Mehmet take the fall, say he was driving and it was his fault. And again, we see Don show a different side to her where Don was like, Bosco don't even deserve your friendship
yeah,
because you look out for him. You basically throw yourself under the bus, where Ariel kind of give Mehmet some face, which a mother would, because you was driving here, met me picnic catching an accident, right?
yeah, yeah.
But this
She
is a
still
turning
that means that
point.
that thought didn't even cross her mind that
It
Mehmet
crossed everybody else's mind except
everybody
for
else
Aria.
except for Arya. Yeah. And Barris knew and him the business because he's like, well, if he's willing to take the fall, then I'm not gonna press it. And the issue is, it is what it is. But
This is also where you find, so Vita, who's at that point hasn't really spoken to Bosco since it came out, the video Mark played that as she write the rhyme, go over there. And Bosco starts telling Vita how he feels about, what he's been experiencing. But in the middle of that conversation, Mark calls and Vita is like, yo, she has to go, and Bosco get vexed. And I'm like, turn back blown and nice, right? Because, what, why are you
say it
laughing
again,
at
say
me?
it again, say it again.
Turn back blown and nice. Because it would have been the same thing that he's done to Vita, just kind of like cut she what she wants to get to something else. But also, by the time Barris come over, we see, and this is where I want to talk about Lennox and Barris. Barris comes over, and Lennox kind of said to Barris like, "Yo, he's out back, but just kind of take time with him or whatever." And Barris turned to Lennox and say, "If him have a boy, then him own a boy, then he will understand." And I thought that was a dig, not I thought that was a clear
It
dig to
wasn't big.
Lennox,
Yeah.
and what I had said before, where Barris is their biological father, but Lennox has parented them in a way that Barris can't really do or is incapable of doing, because Barris see him kids as dollar signs first than
And feeding picnic second.
right. And we see Lennox take some level of disrespect that Me surprised Lennox come from a Jamaican household or parentage because but he's also not this. He's a complete opposite of all the stereotype when they roll up in a berries. Berries get all of the stereotype. Lennox,
One of them.
every single one. Lennox get the other stereotype. So it's like this this opposite personality, and this is kind of where we truly start see like the cracks in how Lennox is feeling and the deference that everybody gives Barris and not him,
Mm-hmm.
because oh, Lennox is just here. So um and then even in that conversation as a father, like I said, Barris's personality is so hard driving. It's just like, yo, just pull yourself together, man. Wait, is it in this episode him and Don have a conversation, Barris and Don have a conversation with Bosco because the tour mash up at this point. Because a stipulation of the tour was there was no fighting at all, at least that venue.
Mm-hmm.
And because Bulla beat up the man, then there that became an issue. So
I think it's this episode that you start to kind of see and understand that he's no longer going to be on tour, because he kind of, well, it wasn't really him, so that was a little odd too, but I guess because the crowd was so um excited, not that it was his fault, but he was the headliner, so you know how that goes. If something happens at your show, you tend to get the blame, even if you're not involved in any way. Or but not only that, he had the accident, so that the fight, probably coupled with the accident, didn't allow him to complete the tour as planned.
so this is where Dawn come in and say, yo, she have a new hustle and she have new money a come in. And a member of parliament said that, he want a champion. So the member of parliament get Bosco, and Bosco's like, I don't want to do it, I want to perform. And Barry's basically tell him, say, yo, where money I come from, so you have to perform. And he gives this lackluster performance at this,
Sweet
politicians.
16. Politician data, Sweet 16. Right? He's already on edge with anyone of authority. And they thought it was a good idea to have him do a Sweet 16, like, teeny bopper party. Like his music, I like, and then to come to find out, are they wrong champion? I
and
demand.
he overhears that this was not the champion the daughter wanted. The daughter wanted the father to get Vita. And so, in overhearing that, Bosco breaks down. Dawn is consoling him, and Berries are like, yo, pull up yourself, man. Ray. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Yo, the man, like, talk about dog heart. Like,
Yeah,
he's just like, cool.
yeah.
Um, and he's really coming apart at the seams, Bosco. Like like it's just like
Everything.
beating after beating after beating he's just taking. And so this is kind of where we see Dawn kind of switch into, I don't
Something,
know,
something all right. Something all right.
Dawn is switching into something not right, and yo, like she see that like the way Berissa deal with it is just going to lead to problems.
Because essentially, she's also looking at it like, how much money are you going to sacrifice for the sake of your child? Like, he's clearly not well physically, mentally, emotionally, and he's exhausted from the work, and he's not excited. He's not, and Barris's solve is to just push on, go through. Like, we have no other source of income, and it's a different thing, right? It's a different thing when you understand that, but it's not clear to Bosco at all that he is the one providing for his entire family, because then that would he thinks he's only providing for his daughter, in that sense, but he doesn't really understand that he is the breadwinner for their family, and he is the one that is taking care of them, because he doesn't look at the finances apparently.
He had no idea. He has
Yeah.
no money. He doesn't have any idea.
And the first sign of that was when the authorities came and repossessed his things, but he got that advance for the new label. He didn't want Remember, he didn't want to sign, but he did sign and decided to go on tour because they were giving him the advance. So that is what he kind of used to float. So this is like music business R 101. You get that advance, you still got to pay it back. It's just a cash advance, it's not your money until the label truly recoups all of the costs. So they're fronting all of the money for this new collaboration record label subsidiary under their label. So that's, wait, Champion Crown. What the label name? Champion
Champion,
Crown.
champion crown, champion
No,
sound,
not
champion.
Kevin Crown, but Anna it. Champion Crown. He's starting his label with his dad. Um, the tour, paying for the tour, so that set up administration for this record label under imprint, this record label imprint, the cost to manage his tour, and then his dad's uh media company, like he's like a disc jockey. So he has this radio program that he also does. So clearly you see Barris's interest. Clearly, he has an interest in music and the music business. But you can tell that he's not very experienced, and he's just kind of winging it, because, and he's just spending all the money, hoping that Bosco makes more money. So that's why he's pushing Bosco to these degrees. And so Dawn is finally realizing, like, how much debt do you really have that you really need to push your child this far? Like, he's completely like over it.
Barris thinks very highly of himself and his competency, his capability, and we just know say Barris only capable of his shenanigans of being ignorant, stubborn, and sweet talk. That's his
And the
capability.
reality of it, everybody recognizes it except his family.
Yes. And so as we switch to Vita, Vita's friend Teo comes and asks her to perform at her fashion show, and Vita says that she already booked for something, and then she changes her mind. She Because she I guess she had a showcase to perform for, so she lets Honey go to the showcase and she performs at the friend's fashion show, wears a dress. Mehmet is there. And so we see Lennox say, "Oh, Aria, I'm gonna carry you someplace. Now where we gonna carry you, may I surprise you." And anything we say here, so just imagine Ella go broke loose, things that you gonna bust up.
No, me never think it would have go where it gone. Me never even realize I decide episode. Go on, man. Me don't know if I want episode with a pan in. I want
No man,
episode
we're in a episode 2, we're in a episode 5, we got you
five.
4, a 5 we're in a now. Keep
Yes,
up.
but
Keep up.
this is a lot.
Let me tell you, this listen, you're strapping to champion and it's full speed ahead. No brakes. No brakes. No slow down.
Driver, don't stop.
Full speed ahead. So Vita performs this song that she discovered in episode 4 that her mom sings. So her mom face, and then initially we are like, oh my god, I'm so surprised. Like, oh my god, she's singing this song for me. Only for the mother get up in the middle of the fashion show and run off, throws off Vita, but she finished the song. Lennox naturally go after Aria after the whole thing and say what happened. Vita come up now and they ask her mother what happened. And she said, you have no right. You have no right to sing my song. And Vita confused like the Wallawi. Like, Mom, I was singing it. I was trying to pay tribute to you. You need to ask me permission first. I was like, oh my gosh. So your
Yeah,
Nico, she jealous of her daughter. I'm like, me not know which world that exists. Cause me not like my mother jealous of me. So Mehmet comes over and I try this, I try dispel everything. Cause Mehmet like keep peace. Mehmet is not confrontational. So I'm gonna try to settle the whole thing,
he's
right?
trying to say like let's move because essentially the fashion show is still event is still happening. The show is over, the actual runway show. However, people are still mingling. And so as he is trying to persuade them to go to a different area to finish whatever this tussle is, Bosco walks in. But
Hatted.
Ted Bosco. And notice this is where we see Bosco's hair change. This is where he now has the twist, and he so the whole entire this whole time he has the straight back cornrows. Ever neat. Me said the man here ever neat. Yo, underneath his cornrow, me see, can't roll
Gel
me see.
down. The,
Jelly,
the
no.
whole, the maximum whole gel. Maximum whole gel.
But the way all the thing just spread nice and it just neat. And now we see this is how you can that's how like those symbols of change are happening. So he changes his stuff. So he twists it and then he pulls the front back and then he has his two-strand twist like to his shoulder. So he's coming in with a new energy, trying to shake off the bad vibes and surprise his sister because he knows that she's performing. And he doesn't know about the song. He doesn't know that Mehmet is there. He's really just going to show support for Vida. And he comes into this tussle and he sees Mehmet in a mother face and him like back off. You he's like, what do you mean? And then Mehmet all of a sudden confesses his love for Vita. I love her.
Like, what?
That wasn't even the right time, Mehmet.
No,
Mehmet,
it was the right time because he was like, what's going on with
what's
the
going
both
on
of you?
here? Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, because Basuka put him in Icona and said, what's going on with you two? That's when it became obvious to him.
Yeah. And so everybody there that watched the story unfold, which would be my embarrassment. Like, lad, we can't just move inside and not make people see the business, but the whole of the business out the road, which is what Mehmet was trying to avoid. And so Vita and Mehmet go outside in the little outside now a staircase. Cue to some footprints coming down the step. Dun, 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 dun. It's Laurent. Ta-da! Like,
Him
blink, him did
ever
it.
ready. Him is ever ready, Leroy. I got me, I can call him.
Just blink and he appears, right?
Yeah.
And so she was like, no, I can't do this. It's just like you said. She uses his own words to say, no, you're right. This is not going to work. And she walk off with Laurent. And
And
towards the
poor Mehmet is teary eyed because he just said he loved her out loud, and he confessed, and he's just like, yeah, we could just be together now. All of a sudden, and she's just like, no, I'm sorry, I've moved on. Cue Laurent, am I ready, Laurent?
yeah, but I'm going to leave Laurent until later. And so at the end of the episode, Barris gets a call. Sissy is on the number. And by the time we get to the episode, his father in Jamaica died. So everybody on their way back home. Barris is out front. Of course, Lennox gone in at the house. And I say, Lennox, if you know, look through the window and look what go on. That's what I say, because me say some big disrespect Lennox I get at this point. You want to see when me I watch out my mouth push out. Because you can't diss Lennox. Lennox a good man. You understand what I say? They help you cook all them thing there. So
And by
anyway,
the oven, when call it again? The
cooker.
cooker. The cooker, yes.
And so
And I'll know she not respond to him in proposal, you know. Mm-hmm.
I say, young girl out a road a beg for proposal and this big woman have proposal like you and accept ring. Anyway, so we later kind of think kind of can make our own
Yeah.
conclusion why. But he goes inside, but I look through the window, not in a peeping Tom way, but he just move the curtain for see what go on. And at the time he moves the curtain, Aria they hug up Beres because the father dead. And Beres goes, him did consider you a champion too. I was just like, wait, so they're not married? Me no know. That is the question I asked. Wait, if he
They
considers you
might
a
still be married. You
me
think
no,
they still might be married?
no, the way he said he considers you a champion, it makes me feel like I thought they were married, or is the father, is he saying that even after the divorce, the father still considers her a champion?
That's what I gathered from that.
Up for interpretation.
Up for
And so
interpretation.
so she said, so Barry said to him, not even ask you come to Jamaica with me too. And I'm just like, listen, what? And she didn't push back. She goes then into the house and tell Lennox that
To
she's going
Jamaica.
to the funeral. She's like, "What the funeral?" He said, "To the funeral. Where? Over there in Jamaica." And he looks
I
like
cut
her.
down the road. I sat them on it.
Him look upon her like, "My girl, what?" And it's at that point him realize, say, "Yo, a big disrespect this. Me done. Me can't do this," kind of thing. And she just look like whatever, which tells me they might have had this discussion before, which she not take it serious. Like he'll be fine,
Yeah.
and this the episode end because the next episode is the Jamaica episode where things get nice. So we're gonna end right here because there's more champions to come. And I might say, Lord Jesus, how am I gonna kind of talk about the whole thing in a 1-2 episode? There's too
You
much for
can't talk it. It's too much. Can't
too
talk it
much.
out.
Let me tell you, big ups again to the music supervisor, to the writers of each episode. Um, you said in a previous episode, like each episode is like more character development. I think we saw more of Dawn and different sides to Dawn in this episode. I mean, just fantastic. Just like keep you engaged and energized this whole time. So we just really enjoyed the show. We hope you've caught up and come back because we're gonna try work for the next episode, the last episode to wrap up our discussion on Champion. Any last words, Michaela?
Nah, man, lots of one and lots to come. That's all me can say.
All right. So until next time, walk good and we soon come.
Boom, bam, little more.